I stood in the Pattaya police station at 9 in the morning, watching through a glass partition as Kanyarat Ying Suksawat was processed for formal arrest. She was crying, pleading with the officers in rapid Thai, occasionally glancing toward where I stood with the detective who'd been handling the case for the past 3 weeks. Just 2 months earlier, I'd been holding this woman in my arms, believing we were building a future together. I'd transferred 1,800,000 baht to her bank account, roughly $50,000, believing I was investing in our shared business venture. I'd signed a lease agreement with her for a beauty salon expansion, met her supposed business partners, toured the location where our shop would open. All of it had been fiction. The business partners were accomplices. The salon location was a temporarily rented space for staging photos. The documents were forgeries. And Ying wasn't a struggling entrepreneur trying to build something real. She was a professional scammer who'd done this at least 6 times before. But she'd made one critical mistake. She'd underestimated me. When I'd transferred that 1,800,000 baht, I hadn't sent it as a gift to my girlfriend. I'd structured it as a secured business loan with a formal contract requiring business registration, documentation, lease agreements, and regular financial reporting. I downloaded the template from an expat legal forum, had it reviewed by a lawyer, and insisted Ying sign it digitally before I'd transfer a single baht. For accounting purposes, I'd told her. I need proper documentation for my taxes back home. She'd signed it without reading it carefully, probably thinking it was just bureaucratic nonsense that wouldn't matter since she planned to disappear with the money anyway. That contract saved me. When irregularities appeared and Ying started making excuses, I'd flagged the transaction with my Canadian bank. They'd frozen the transfer. The Thai receiving bank had frozen her accounts. And that paper trail, that beautiful, legally binding paper trail, gave the police everything they needed to build a criminal case. Now, Ying was being arrested, not just for scamming me, but for scamming 6 other foreign men. Her 2 male accomplices had been arrested the day before. The police had seized bank accounts containing over 4 million baht stolen from various victims. Assets purchased with scammed money, a car, jewelry, electronics were being confiscated. And I was getting my money back. Almost all of it. The detective, a sharp-eyed man named Lieutenant Sumchai, turned to me. "Mr. Gregg, you want to speak to her before we take her to holding?" I looked at Ying through the glass. She was staring at me now, mascara running down her face, mouthing something I couldn't hear, probably please or I'm sorry or some other manipulation. "No," I said. "I have nothing to say to her. She can save her performance for the judge." Lieutenant Samchai nodded approvingly. "You did good thing, Mr. Gregg. Most foreign men, they too ashamed to report. They go home quietly. Let scammer continue. You fought back. You saved other men from same fate." I watched as they led Ying away, her shoulders shaking with sobs. I felt no satisfaction, no triumph, just a cold, clear sense of justice being served. She'd thought I was just another lonely old foreigner, too trusting, too desperate, too stupid to protect myself properly. She'd been wrong on every count, and now she was going to prison. If you've been enjoying the stories I tell, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Your support is crucial for the growth of this channel and helps me dedicate time to making these videos despite my commitment to a full-time job. Thank you for being here. My name is Gregory Malden, though I've gone by Greg my entire life. I'm 61 years old, Canadian, originally from Vancouver. I spent 34 years working as a mining engineer, mostly in resource extraction projects across Canada, but also internationally in Australia, Chile, and Indonesia. It's not glamorous work. Mining engineering is about logistics, safety protocols, geological assessment, equipment management. It's technical, demanding, and often takes you to remote locations for months at a time, but it pays extremely well, especially if you're good at it and willing to work the difficult projects. I was very good at it. By the time I was 45, I was a senior project manager, overseeing multi-million-dollar operations. By 55, I was a consulting engineer, earning more than I'd ever imagined possible growing up in a working-class Vancouver neighborhood. I married young, met my wife Patricia when I was 28. She was a nurse, practical and grounded, exactly what I needed given the transient nature of my work. We had a good marriage for over 20 years, though it was strained by my frequent absences for work. We had 2 children, both grown now, living their own lives. one in Toronto, one in Calgary. The marriage ended when I was 52. Not dramatically, not with betrayal or conflict. We'd just grown apart. Patricia wanted a husband who was home, who was present, who wasn't constantly flying to remote mine sites. I wasn't ready to retire yet. Wasn't ready to give up the work I loved. We divorced amicably, split assets fairly, remained cordial for the sake of the kids. By the time I was 58, I'd accumulated approximately 6.5 million Canadian dollars in savings and investments. The company I'd been consulting for was bought out by a larger mining conglomerate. They offered a generous early retirement package to senior staff as part of restructuring. I took it. At 59, I retired with more money than I could spend in 3 lifetimes and absolutely no idea what to do with myself. For the first year, I stayed in Vancouver. I traveled occasionally back to Chile to see old colleagues, to Australia for a mining conference, to Indonesia just because I'd enjoyed living there years ago. But Vancouver felt empty. My ex-wife had remarried and moved to Victoria. My children had their own lives. Most of my friendships had been work-related and faded once I wasn't on sites anymore. I'd spent 3 decades in environments where every day brought challenges to solve, problems to fix, systems to optimize. Retirement felt purposeless in comparison. I needed something to do, somewhere to be, some reason to get up in the morning. That's when I started seriously considering Southeast Asia for long-term living. I'd been to Thailand twice before, once for a conference in Bangkok, once for a vacation in Phuket. I remembered it as affordable, comfortable, with good infrastructure and excellent healthcare. Friends who'd retired there raved about the lifestyle, warm weather, year-round, low cost of living, active expat communities, easy visa options for retirees. In March, I flew to Thailand for a 2-month exploratory trip. I visited Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Hua Hin, and finally Pattaya. Each city had its appeal, but Pattaya won out. It had everything I wanted: beach access, modern condos, international restaurants, good hospitals, golf courses, an active expat community, and close proximity to Bangkok for when I needed city amenities. I found a 2-bedroom condo in the Pratumnak area, nicer part of Pattaya, away from the seedier tourist zones, with ocean views and good security. The rent was 35,000 baht per month, roughly 1,300 Canadian dollars. For that price in Vancouver, I couldn't rent a parking space. I returned to Canada, arranged for long-term visa options, set up international banking, and moved to Thailand permanently in June. I was 60 years old, financially comfortable, physically healthy, and ready for a new chapter. What I wasn't ready for was how lonely retirement in a foreign country could be. The first 3 months in Pattaya were exciting in that touristy, surface-level way. Everything was new and different. The food, the language, the customs, the climate. I spent my days exploring, eating at different restaurants, taking day trips to nearby areas, joining a gym, playing golf at local courses. But by September, the novelty had worn off, and the underlying reality became clear. I had no meaningful connections, no real friends, no family, no purpose, beyond filling time until bedtime. I'd met other expats casually nodding acquaintances at the gym, golf partners for occasional rounds, drinking buddies at the bars who'd chat for an hour, then disappear. But nothing deep, nothing substantial. Most expats in Pattaya were either much older than me and settled into their routines, or much younger and interested in the party scene. I didn't quite fit either group. The evenings were the worst. I'd come back to my condo after dinner, and the silence would press down like a physical weight. I'd call my kids occasionally, but they were busy with their own lives. I'd video call old friends in Canada, but the time difference made it difficult, and I could tell they didn't really understand my life in Thailand. I tried to stay busy. I took Thai language lessons at a local school. I volunteered teaching English to Thai kids at a community center. I joined an expat hiking group. But none of it filled the core emptiness, the lack of someone to share experiences with, someone to come home to, someone who cared about my day. By November, I'd been in Thailand 6 months and was seriously considering going back to Canada. Not because I disliked Thailand, but because the loneliness was becoming unbearable. That's when I downloaded Tinder. I'm not proud of this, but I need to be honest about my state of mind. I was 60 years old, divorced, living in a foreign country where I barely spoke the language, and desperately craving companionship. I'd heard other expats talk about Thai dating apps, about how common it was for Western men and Thai women to connect through them. "Just be careful," one expat had warned me over beers. "A lot of girls on there looking for sponsors, not boyfriends. Make sure you know the difference." I'd nodded, thinking I was too smart to fall for obvious scams. I'd spent 34 years managing complex projects, reading people, assessing risks. I could spot trouble. I was overconfident. My Tinder profile was straightforward retired engineer Canadian, living in Pattaya, looking for companionship and conversation. I posted recent photos, nothing misleading, just normal pictures of me, at restaurants, at the beach, playing golf. I got matches immediately, dozens of them. Young Thai women, most in their 20s and 30s, messaging me with friendly greetings. Most messages were obvious. "Hello, handsome. You take care of me? I need good man with money." I ignored those. But then I got a message from someone different. Her name was Ying. Her profile said she was 32, from Nong Khai originally, now living in Pattaya. Her photos showed an attractive Thai woman in business casual attire, standing in front of what looked like a small salon. Her bio mentioned being an entrepreneur trying to expand her beauty business. Her message was thoughtful. "Hi, Greg. I saw your profile and thought you seemed interesting. I like that you're interested in Thai culture and learning the language. I'm trying to build a business here in Pattaya and always appreciate meeting people with international experience. If you'd like to chat sometime, I'd enjoy that, no pressure." The message felt mature, professional, different from the others. I messaged back, and we talked for a week before agreeing to meet for coffee. That meeting changed everything. We met at a coffee shop in central Pattaya on a Friday afternoon. I arrived early, nervous in a way I hadn't been since I was a teenager. Ying arrived exactly on time, looking like her photos pretty, professionally dressed in dark jeans and a nice blouse, carrying a designer-looking handbag. She smiled warmly and shook my hand. "Greg, I'm Ying. Nice to finally meet you in person." We ordered coffee and sat in a quiet corner. The conversation flowed easily. She asked about my engineering career, seemed genuinely interested in the mining projects I'd worked on. She asked thoughtful questions about Canada, about Vancouver, about why I'd chosen Thailand for retirement. In return, she told me about herself. She'd grown up in Nong Khai, a province in northeast Thailand near the Laos border. Her parents had died young, her father in a motorcycle accident when she was 14, her mother from cancer when she was 20. She'd raised her younger sister largely on her own, working various jobs to put herself through beauty school. She'd moved to Pattaya 5 years ago and opened a small beauty salon. It was doing reasonably well, but she had ambitions to expand, open a larger location, offer more services, maybe eventually franchise the concept. "I know is maybe silly dream," she said with a self-deprecating laugh. "Small salon girl wants to build empire. But I think if you not dream big, why dream at all?" I found her impressive. She wasn't asking for anything, wasn't hinting about money or help, just talking about her life, her goals, her challenges as an entrepreneur in Thailand. She spoke decent English, occasionally struggling with complex phrases but communicating effectively. When our coffee date stretched to 3 hours, neither of us wanted it to end. We made plans to meet again dinner this time, at a nice seafood restaurant she recommended. Over the next month, Ying and I saw each other 3 or 4 times a week. Dinners, movies, walks along the beach, day trips to nearby areas. She introduced me to authentic Thai food at local restaurants I'd never have found on my own. She taught me Thai phrases. She explained cultural nuances I'd been misunderstanding. She also told me more about her business. She showed me her salon, a small but clean operation, in a decent location, offering hair, nails, and massage services. She had 2 employees and a modest but steady client base. "Problem is location too small," she explained one afternoon, showing me around. "I have waiting list of customers, but nowhere to put them. If I could move to bigger space, maybe double or triple business. But upfront cost is too high. Deposit, renovations, equipment maybe need 1,500,000 baht or more to make it work." 1,500,000 baht was roughly 43,000 Canadian dollars. A significant investment, but not beyond reach if the business model was sound. "Have you tried getting a business loan from Thai banks?" I asked. She'd laughed sadly. "Thai banks very difficult for small business. They want collateral, guarantor, business history. I am just small salon owner. They not interested." I didn't offer to help then. It was too early. But the seed was planted. By January, 3 months after we'd met, Ying and I were in a full relationship. We'd progressed from hand-holding to kissing to spending nights together at my condo. She'd leave personal items, clothes, toiletries, and gradually moved in without either of us explicitly discussing it. She was affectionate, attentive, seemingly genuinely happy. She'd cook Thai food for me, teach me to cook with her, laugh at my terrible pronunciation attempts in Thai. She'd curl up against me while we watched movies, call me during the day just to chat, send me cute messages. It felt real. After years of divorce-related loneliness and months of isolation in Thailand, I'd finally found someone who wanted to be with me not for a visa or a free dinner, but because we enjoyed each other's company. That's what I believed. Anyway, in February, Ying's business dreams became more concrete. She'd found the perfect location for the salon expansion, a larger street-level retail space in a busy area near Central Festival Shopping Mall. High-foot traffic, good visibility, proper size to accommodate more service stations. She was excited but frustrated. "Is perfect location, Greg, but landlord wants 6 months deposit plus renovations. Total initial cost maybe 1,800,000 baht. I have maybe 300,000 saved. Not nearly enough. We'll probably lose opportunity. 1,800,000 baht, roughly 50,000 Canadian dollars. A substantial sum, but I had 6.5 million in investments. 50,000 was less than 1% of my net worth. Over the next few days, Ying showed me detailed plans, floor layouts sketching where each station would go, equipment lists with prices, projected revenue based on her current client base plus expansion potential. She'd clearly done her homework. "This is really well thought out," I said, reviewing the documents one evening. She smiled sadly. "I spend long time planning, but planning means nothing without money to execute." "What if I invested?" I asked carefully. She looked up sharply. "What you mean?" "What if I provided the capital? As a business investment, we'd structure it properly, formal contract, repayment terms. Maybe I'd take an equity stake in the expanded business. This way, you get the funding you need, and I get a return on investment plus something meaningful to be involved in." I could see emotions playing across her face: surprise, hope, hesitation. "Greg, that is very generous, but is too much money. What if business fails? What if I cannot pay you back?" "That's the risk of any investment," I said. "But I've reviewed your numbers. The projections seem sound, and I trust you. I've seen how hard you work, how seriously you take your business. I think this could succeed." She'd started crying. "You really believe in me? Even though we only know each other a few months?" "I believe in you. And I believe in us. If we're building a future together, this is part of that future." That night, we talked seriously about the structure. I'd insisted it be done properly: formal contract, documented business plan, registered company, legitimate lease agreement. I wasn't just handing her cash. This would be a real business deal with proper paperwork. Ying agreed enthusiastically. We spent the following week preparing documentation. She introduced me to her business partner, a Thai woman named Porn, who supposedly had salon management experience and would help run the expanded location. We toured the proposed location together. I met the landlord. We discussed lease terms. Everything seemed legitimate. Here's where my engineering background actually helped me, though not in the way I'd intended. In mining, every major expenditure requires documentation, contracts, invoices, engineering reports, safety certifications. I was trained to never move forward with a project without proper paperwork. So, before transferring any money, I downloaded a business loan contract template from an expat legal forum. It was designed specifically for situations like this: foreigners investing in Thai partner businesses. The contract specified the 1,800,000 baht was a secured business loan, not a gift. Ying, borrower, was required to provide business registration documents, lease agreements, and vendor invoices for all major expenses. Repayment terms with interest over 3 years. My right to audit business finances quarterly. Collateral provision if business failed. Certain assets could be claimed to satisfy debt. I had a Thai lawyer review the contract to ensure it was enforceable under Thai law. He made a few adjustments, then confirmed it was solid. I presented the contract to Ying. "Before I transfer the money, we both need to sign this. It's standard business practice. I need proper documentation for my tax records back in Canada." She'd looked nervous, but nodded. Okay, I understand. Is professional way to do things. You should have a lawyer review it too, I added. Make sure you understand all the terms. I trust you, Greg. You not try to trick me. If you say is fair contract, is fair contract. She signed it digitally through a secure document signing service. I signed it, the lawyer notarized it. Everything was official. Only later would I realize that Ying hadn't actually read the contract carefully. She'd probably assumed it was just bureaucratic paperwork that wouldn't matter because she planned to take the money and disappear. She'd made a critical mistake. I initiated the wire transfer from my Canadian bank in early March. 1,800,000 baht, approximately 50,000 Canadian dollars, from my account to Ying's business account that she'd set up specifically for the salon expansion. Thank you so much, Greg, she'd said, crying happy tears. You not know what this means to me, to us. We are really building something together now. I love you so much. She'd shown me the confirmation when the money arrived in her Thai account. We celebrated with an expensive dinner. We started shopping for salon equipment. We began renovation planning. For 2 weeks, everything seemed perfect. We'd visit the future salon location, imagining how it would look once completed. We'd browse suppliers for equipment. Ying was excited, energized, constantly sharing updates about progress. But in the 3rd week, problems began emerging. First, the lease paperwork was delayed. Landlord says he needs more time to prepare proper contract, Ying explained. Is normal in Thailand. Everything takes longer than expected. Then the business registration documents were delayed. Government office very slow. Maybe need another 2 weeks. Then Ying herself became less available. She had urgent family matters in Nong Khai and needed to go visit her sister for a few days. She was meeting with suppliers and would be out all day. She had business partner meetings that ran late into the evening. I began asking for the documentation specified in our contract, business registration, lease agreement, supplier invoices. Ying always had an excuse for why she didn't have them yet. Soon, Greg. I promise. Everything is in process. Thai bureaucracy is very slow. By early April, a month after the transfer, I had received exactly 0 pieces of documentation. No business registration, no lease agreement, no supplier invoices, nothing. I started visiting the proposed salon location unannounced. Several times, I found it locked and empty. The landlord wasn't there. There was no sign of renovation activity. I tried calling the landlord directly. His phone number went to voicemail. He never called back. I became suspicious and started pressing Ying harder. I need to see documentation. The contract requires it. Where are the business registration papers? She became defensive. Why you not trust me? You think I steal from you? After everything we share together? This isn't about trust. It's about proper business practice. The contract specifies documentation requirements. I'm just asking you to fulfill your contractual obligations. You care more about papers than about me, she'd shouted during one argument. Thai people, we not so focused on paperwork like Westerners. We do business on trust. Then show me the business, I'd said calmly. Take me to the salon. Show me the renovations. Introduce me to contractors. Something concrete. She'd started crying. My sister is sick in hospital. I need to go back to Nong Khai. We talk about business when I get back. She left for Nong Khai the next day. And then she disappeared. Her phone went to voicemail. Her line messages were unread. Her social media went quiet. For 4 days, I had no contact with her. That's when I knew something was seriously wrong. On the 5th day of Ying's disappearance, I went to the bank that had received my wire transfer. I brought my laptop with all our correspondence, the signed contract, and my transfer documentation. I explained the situation to a manager. I transferred 1,800,000 baht to an account held by Kanyarat Suksawat for a documented business investment. She was contractually obligated to provide business registration, lease agreements, and supplier documentation. She's provided nothing and has now disappeared. I believe this is fraud. The manager reviewed the contract carefully. Thai banks, I'd learned, are quite concerned about fraud involving foreign money. It creates bad publicity and can attract regulatory scrutiny. This contract is very good, the manager said. Very clear that money is not gift, but business loan with conditions. This gives us legal basis to review the transaction. Can you freeze her account? I asked. We need more time to investigate. But if you also report to police and they request account freeze, we can comply immediately. I left the bank and went directly to the Pattaya Tourist Police, a specialized unit that handles crimes involving foreigners. I brought everything: the contract, the transfer records, our correspondence, the failed lease agreement, the missing documentation. The officer who took my report was Lieutenant Somchai, a sharp, no-nonsense man in his 40s who spoke excellent English. "This contract is very smart," he said after reviewing it. "Most foreign men, they just give money to girlfriend as gift. No documentation. Cannot prove fraud. Just boyfriend-girlfriend dispute. But you have proper business contract, signed with specific requirements not met. This is clear fraud case. Can you help?" I asked. "Yes, I will open case. But I need to tell you something, this woman. Kanyarat Suksawat. I know this name. She is already on our watch list. We have 2 other complaints from foreign men, but they did not have documentation like yours. They just give money as gifts, get angry when she disappeared. Nothing we can do. But you have real evidence. What happens next? I will request bank to freeze all accounts in her name. I will issue summons for her to report to police station. If she does not come, we issue arrest warrant. In meantime, I will investigate her background. See what else we find. How long will this take? Maybe 2-3 weeks? Thailand justice system is slow, but your case is strong. If she really is running scam operation like I think, we will find evidence." I left the police station, feeling a strange mix of emotions: anger at being scammed, embarrassment at falling for it, but also vindication that I'd protected myself legally and had law enforcement taking the case seriously. 2 days later, Ying finally called me. "Greg, where are you? I've been trying to reach you." Her voice sounded panicked. "I've been here the whole time," I said coldly. "You're the one who disappeared. My sister was very sick. I told you. I had to take care of her. My phone broke. I just got new SIM card." "That's interesting, because your line messages show as red during the time your phone was supposedly broken." Silence. "Greg, why are you being like this? Why you not trust me? Where's the business registration, Ying? Where's the lease agreement? Where are the supplier invoices? It's been over a month. The contract requires documentation." "Is coming. I told you, Thai bureaucracy." "I went to the bank, Ying. I filed a fraud report with the tourist police. Your accounts are frozen. And I've learned some interesting things about you from the police. This isn't your first time scamming foreign men, is it?" Another long silence. Then her tone changed completely cold, calculating. "You went to the police? You reported me?" "You committed fraud." "Yes, I reported it." "You stupid old man," she hissed. "That money is gone. It's spent. You never get it back. And you destroy my life for nothing. I hope you are happy." She hung up. That was the last time we spoke directly. Lieutenant Somchai moved fast once Ying's accounts were frozen. Within a week, he'd uncovered a pattern that was far more extensive than my case alone. "Mr. Gregg, I need to show you something," he said during one of our meetings at the police station. He laid out files on his desk. "Your girlfriend, she is not working alone. She is part of organized scam operation. At least 6 foreign men have lost money to her, maybe more." The files showed a systematic pattern. Victim 1. British man lost 800,000 baht to family medical emergency and mother's house repair. Reported to police, but had no documentation, just chat logs. Case went nowhere. Victim 2. Australian man lost 1,200,000 baht to restaurant business investment. No contract, no documentation. Gave money as gift. Case dismissed as civil dispute. Victim 3. German man lost 600,000 baht to sister's university tuition. No proof. No documentation. Case went nowhere. Victim 4. American man lost 2 million baht to condo investment that never existed. He'd actually filed criminal charges. But Ying disappeared before warrant could be served. And there were others' complaints that never made it to official reports because the men were too embarrassed or left Thailand before following up. In your case, Lieutenant Somchai explained, you have real contract, real documentation requirements, real proof this was not gift, but business transaction with unfulfilled obligations. This is why we can proceed with serious charges. What charges exactly? Fraud. Forgery for fake business documents she showed you. Possibly money laundering if we find she moved funds to accomplices. Each charge carries prison time. Over the next 2 weeks, the investigation expanded. Lieutenant Somchai discovered that Ying worked with 2 male accomplices. Accomplice 1. The supposed landlord I'd met, actually her boyfriend, who played various roles in her scams depending on what the victim needed. Accomplice 2. The business partner. Porn, actually her cousin, who helped create fake business documentation and posed as various characters depending on the scam. All 3 used multiple phones, multiple bank accounts, multiple identities. They'd been running these scams for at least 2 years, primarily targeting foreign retirees in Pattaya and Bangkok. The frozen bank accounts revealed the scope. Over 4 million baht from various sources, not just my 1,800,000, but money from other victims that was still flowing in. Ying had been running multiple scams simultaneously. Lieutenant Somchai also discovered something crucial. Most of my money was still there. Ying hadn't had time to move it before the accounts were frozen. Of the 1,800,000 baht I'd transferred, approximately 1,600,000 was recoverable. You are very lucky, Mr. Gregg, the lieutenant said. Most victims, by time they realize it is scam, money is already moved through multiple accounts, converted to cash, spent. But you reported quickly. We froze accounts quickly, so money is still there. What happens to the 200,000 that's missing? That is probably already spent. We may recover some from seized assets, but not guaranteed. But you recover most of your money, which is very unusual in these cases. Based on the evidence, arrest warrants were issued for Ying and her 2 accomplices. They arrested Ying first. She'd been hiding in Bangkok at a friend's apartment, still trying to run scams on other men through dating apps despite her accounts being frozen. The police found her through phone tracking and social media surveillance. They raided the apartment early one morning. Ying tried to resist, claiming mistaken identity, but they had photos, fingerprints, and several phones registered in different names, all found in her possession. She was brought to Pattaya police station, processed, and held pending formal charges. That's when I watched her through the glass partition, crying and pleading, as described in the prologue of this story. The 2 male accomplices were arrested the same day in coordinated raids. The landlord boyfriend was found at a condo in Jomtien. The business partner cousin was arrested at her home in Nong Khai. All 3 were charged with multiple counts of fraud, forgery, and conspiracy. The charges from my case were the strongest because of the contract, but the other victims' cases were also included in the prosecution. Lieutenant Somchai arranged for me to meet some of the other victims. 2 were still in Thailand. Mark, the American who'd lost 2 million baht to a fake condo investment. He was devastated, financially destroyed, planning to return to the U.S., broke and ashamed. David, a British retiree who'd lost 800,000 baht to fake family emergencies. He was angry, embarrassed, and had been drinking heavily to cope with the humiliation. Both men were shocked that I'd gotten my money back. How did you do it? Mark asked, almost angry. I lost everything. Everything. And you got your money back? How? Documentation, I said. I structured it as a business loan with a contract. I insisted on paperwork. I reported it immediately when things went wrong. The contract gave the bank and police legal grounds to act. David shook his head. I just gave her money. She said she needed it. I believed her. I thought. He trailed off, unable to finish. I felt terrible for both of them. They'd lost money they couldn't afford to lose. They had no recourse, no recovery, no justice. All because they'd approached their relationships as romantic gifts rather than documented transactions. Can you help us? Mark asked. Can you tell the police about your case? Maybe help our cases too? I already have, I said. Your cases are part of the same prosecution. Ying and her accomplices are being charged for all the scams, not just mine. You might not get your money back, but at least they'll face prison time. That seemed to give them some small comfort. Not financial justice, but at least the satisfaction of seeing consequences. The preliminary hearing was held in early May. All 3 defendants were present, represented by a lawyer who tried to argue that these were civil disputes between romantic partners, not criminal fraud. The prosecutor destroyed that argument in minutes. He presented my contract, showing this was a documented business transaction, not a romantic gift. He presented the fake business documents Ying had created, proving forgery. He presented evidence of the multiple victims, proving systematic fraud rather than isolated misunderstandings. The judge wasn't sympathetic to the defense. These defendants have shown a pattern of deliberately targeting and deceiving foreign men for financial gain. They created false identities, false business opportunities, and false personal emergencies. The evidence of systematic, premeditated fraud is overwhelming. All three were denied bail and held pending trial. The trial date was set for August. The trial lasted 3 days in late August. The prosecution presented overwhelming evidence. My business contract and Ying's failure to fulfill any contractual obligations, testimony from 6 victims describing nearly identical scam patterns, fake business documents, fake lease agreements, fake identity documents, bank records showing money flowing through multiple accounts controlled by the defendants, phone records showing coordination between the 3 defendants, social media evidence showing Ying simultaneously dating multiple foreign men while claiming to be exclusive with each. The defense was weak. Ying's lawyer tried to claim cultural misunderstandings, that Thai women often accept financial help from boyfriends, that this was normal relationship behavior. But the contract destroyed that argument. This wasn't a girlfriend accepting help. This was a documented business fraud with unfulfilled contractual obligations. The defense also tried to claim Ying really had intended to open a salon, that the business failed due to circumstances beyond her control, and she'd been planning to repay me. The prosecutor easily refuted this. If she intended to open a legitimate business, why did she provide fake documents? Why did she use a fake business partner? Why did she never register a company? Why did all the money remain in personal accounts rather than business accounts? Why did she disappear when asked for documentation? The defense had no effective answers. I testified on day 2. I walked the court through the relationship timeline, the business proposal, the contract negotiation, the transfer, the missing documentation, and Ying's disappearance. Did you at any point give this money as a gift? The prosecutor asked. No, it was explicitly a business investment loan, documented in a signed contract with specific obligations. Did the defendant fulfill any of those obligations? Not a single one. No business registration, no lease agreement, no supplier invoices, nothing. At what point did you realize you'd been defrauded? When she disappeared after receiving the money and couldn't provide any of the required documentation? When the supposed business location showed no signs of actual business activity? When I learned from police that she had a history of similar scams? The defense tried to cross-examine me, suggesting I was a bitter ex-boyfriend seeking revenge. But they couldn't shake my testimony because everything was documented: contract, emails, messages, bank records. The judge seemed increasingly irritated with the defense's weak arguments. By day 3, it was clear how this would end. The verdict came swiftly. Guilty on all counts for all 3 defendants. Sentencing was immediate. Ying received 4 years imprisonment for fraud, forgery, and conspiracy. No suspension, no reduction. Full 4 years. The male accomplices each received 3 years for conspiracy and accessory to fraud. Additionally, the court ordered all seized assets to be liquidated and distributed to victims in proportion to their losses. All bank accounts held by the defendants to be frozen and funds distributed to victims, the defendants to pay restitution jointly and severally for unrecovered losses. For me specifically, the court ordered return of 1,600,000 baht that had been frozen in Ying's accounts, plus approximately 120,000 baht from liquidated assets, electronics, jewelry, furniture bought with scammed money, minus legal fees. Total recovery: approximately 1,700,000 baht out of 1,800,000 baht transferred. I lost about 100,000 baht net after legal costs, roughly 3,000 Canadian dollars. $3,000 for the lesson I learned about documentation, verification, and trust. A painful lesson, but far better than the total loss it could have been. Mark and David recovered partial amounts from the asset liquidation, maybe 20% of what they'd lost. It wasn't everything, but it was something. More importantly, they got to see justice served. As they led Ying away after sentencing, she looked at me one last time. No tears now, just cold hatred. She'd underestimated me from the beginning, assumed I was just another lonely old fool who'd give her money and disappear quietly when she took it. She'd been wrong. I remained in Thailand for another 2 months after the trial, helping other victims navigate the restitution process and tying up legal loose ends. By November, everything was settled. I'd recovered my money. Ying was in prison. The accomplices were in prison. The case was closed. I decided to leave Thailand. Not because the country had wronged me, Thailand didn't scam me, Ying did, but because the experience had tainted what I'd hoped would be a new chapter of my life. Every time I saw a Thai woman with an older foreign man, I wondered if she was genuine or if she was another Ying. Every business opportunity made me suspicious. Every friendly interaction made me question motives. That's not the way I wanted to live. I returned to Canada in December, settled in Victoria, where my ex-wife lived, not to rekindle anything romantic, but because I wanted to be near family and familiar surroundings after the chaos of the past year. My children were supportive, though they'd never understood why I'd moved to Thailand in the first place. "You could have just moved to Victoria from the start, Dad," my daughter said. "You didn't need to go halfway around the world to escape loneliness." She was right, of course, but I'd needed to learn that lesson the expensive way. The experience with Ying taught me several crucial things. First, documentation is everything. In any business transaction, and make no mistake, when money changes hands, it's a business transaction regardless of the romantic context. Proper documentation is your only protection. The contract I insisted on saved me. Without it, I'd have been just another victim with no recourse. Second, cultural differences don't excuse fraud. The defense tried to claim that accepting money from foreign boyfriends is normal Thai culture. Maybe there's some truth to that. But systematic deception, fake businesses, forged documents, and coordinated scamming operations, that's not culture. That's crime. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Third, trust must be earned, not granted freely. I trusted Ying because I wanted to trust her, because I was lonely, because she seemed different from the obvious scammers. But trust without verification is just hope, and hope isn't protection. Fourth, act quickly when something feels wrong. I noticed red flags in March: missing documentation, evasive answers, disappearing acts. I acted on those suspicions within weeks. That quick action meant my money was still recoverable. If I'd waited months, hoping things would improve, the money would have been long gone. Finally, shame is the scammer's best weapon. They count on victims being too embarrassed to report, too ashamed to admit they were deceived. Ying told me explicitly during our last call that I'd never get my money back. She assumed I'd be too humiliated to fight. She was wrong. I reported immediately, publicly cooperated with police, and testified without shame. That's how I won. I've since become an advocate for other scam victims. I participate in expat forums, share my experience, offer guidance on legal protection and documentation. I've helped dozens of men recognize scam patterns before losing money. The contract template I used has been downloaded thousands of times from the legal forum where I originally found it. I received a message last year from the American victim, Mark. After the trial, he'd returned to the U.S., broke and depressed. But he'd slowly rebuilt, got a job, started saving again, went to therapy to process the trauma. He thanked me for helping expose Ying and give him some closure, even though he'd lost most of his money. "You showed me it was okay to fight back," he wrote. "That being scammed doesn't mean you have to accept it silently. Thank you for that." That message meant more to me than recovering my 1,700,000 baht. As for Ying, she's serving her sentence at the Central Women's Correctional Institution in Bangkok. She'll be eligible for parole after serving half her sentence, 2 years. But she'll have a criminal record that follows her. She'll struggle to work in any legitimate business. She'll be known in expat communities, her face and name documented in warnings across every forum and social media group. She destroyed her own life. I just documented it. I'm 63 years old now, living quietly in Victoria, British Columbia. I've reconnected with old friends, spend time with my children and grandchildren, volunteer at a local maritime museum, sharing stories from my mining engineering career. I'm dating again cautiously, locally, with women my own age who have their own careers and financial independence. I'm not rushing into anything. I'm building trust slowly, verifying rather than assuming, protecting myself while remaining open to genuine connection. People ask if I regret my time in Thailand. The answer is complicated. I regret trusting Ying. I regret not recognizing the red flag sooner. I regret the naivety that made me vulnerable. But I don't regret the experience entirely. It taught me lessons I needed to learn about protection, documentation, and verification. It taught me that loneliness can cloud judgment but doesn't have to destroy you. It taught me that fighting back against injustice is possible even in a foreign country with unfamiliar laws. Most importantly, it taught me that I'm stronger than I thought. At 61, facing a $50,000 fraud in a foreign country where I barely spoke the language, I could have given up. I could have gone home quietly, absorbed the loss, lived with the shame. Instead, I fought. I documented. I reported. I testified. I recovered my money. I helped other victims. I sent a professional scammer to prison. Not bad for a retired mining engineer who thought he was too smart to fall for scams. The contract that saved me is publicly available now, shared across Expat forums, downloaded by thousands of men considering business investments with Thai partners. Lawyers have refined it further. It's helped other men protect themselves. That's my legacy from the Ying situation. Not the humiliation of being scammed, but the contribution to preventing others from suffering the same fate. If you're reading this and recognize yourself in my story, older man, lonely, investing money in a Thai girlfriend's business opportunity, noticing red flags but hoping for the best, please learn from my experience. Document everything. Insist on contracts. Verify every claim independently. Act quickly when suspicions arise. Report fraud without shame. And understand that no matter how convincing someone seems, if they're asking for large sums of money, you need legal protection. Real love doesn't require business investments. Real partnerships don't avoid documentation. Real relationships can withstand verification. Ying thought I was an easy target, another lonely old foreigner who'd hand over money and disappear quietly when she took it. She thought my kindness was weakness. My generosity was stupidity. My trust was gullibility. She learned otherwise, and she's spending 4 years in prison contemplating that mistake. If this story has helped you understand the importance of documentation in protecting yourself from romance scams, please subscribe and share. These educational stories take extensive research and time to create, and your support helps me continue producing content despite other commitments. Remember, trust carefully, document everything, and never let shame prevent you from seeking justice. You're stronger than scammers think you are.